Guys, somber moment as we say
boy,
goodbye
here we go.
to a brother of the show, the great Chris Davis, soon to be formerly of KSDK. He's heading home to mama, everybody.
That's right.
That's right. Chris, welcome back, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now
And
get out of here. I'm going to do the thing. Go on, get out of here. Who needs you?
go get
Whatever they...
like
whatever.
one of those movies where you have to like swing at the dog.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
to get,
It doesn't understand.
It's like
That's
Harry,
literally what Frank's gonna do to me later today. So yeah.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes.
Go!
Hiding the tears.
I don't want you here anymore. Oh, congratulations!
God dang, man.
We knew it when we first had an opportunity to see you on air. We were talking about this a little bit off the air, but it's one of those things like, man, he's good. Shit, he's gonna be gone here soon, isn't he? He's gonna be gone because he's that good. But we're so happy that you get to go home.
Well, it's okay. He
that.
got a job in New York or L.A., right? Like one of the huge markets.
He's got, that's a big time, man.
But
Nash Vegas is big.
yeah,
Son of a-
but I'm from
we
there.
lost out,
Right.
man.
I'm from there, and so when I announced the news, it was I said that, and I mean it genuinely. Like I really do love St. Louis, and it's been such a fun 2 years that I've been
That's
here
awesome.
with the Blues run
Yeah.
and plenty of news to keep me busy. But you know the draw of being able to be 25, 30 minutes away from home after spending several years away in different places is just too good of an opportunity.
What was
It's
mom?
huge.
Give me as best you can mom's reaction. Because I know sometimes with big news, when it comes to parents, you just want to make sure everything's official, the I's have been dotted, things have been crossed before you tell them. So when you officially told the parents, hey, son's coming home to be on TV, what was her response?
She was really, really excited, but they had some continual updates because they were kept in the loop. The real surprise is I got to, on Thanksgiving Day, or actually the day after Thanksgiving because I worked Thanksgiving, I got to tell two of my grandmothers that,
that
were
is
and they
awesome.
literally they cried, they got
That is
emotional.
awesome,
So that was
Chris.
really cool.
That's
so
really cool.
like my 87-year-old grandmother has learned how to, she didn't have internet until like 2 years ago. She just didn't have any reason to. But she actually
love that.
got it to be able to stream newscasts in different markets I've been in. So
That's fantastic.
I think she's told every, like bridge club in the greater Middle Tennessee area that, that she can watch, that everybody can watch the Channel 5 down in Nashville. But no, they were both really excited about that. So that made it all worth it there for sure.
So Chris is leaving. We've gotten you a St. Louis staple. World's Fair Donuts has recently opened up back
That was just
again.
yesterday,
So,
or-
yeah,
yeah.
they did. It was shut down for a little while, so we grabbed it. So stuff your
nice.
face. You know,
Yeah.
you're not. They don't have donuts down in Tennessee.
That's right.
Not like this, Chris.
It hasn't made it there yet.
No,
So this is-
we're hoping. Yeah, that's the one thing St. Louis does better than Nashville these days. Now,
Oh, they'll get it.
right, Brooklyn Donuts opening in Nashville.
I'm sure there's a crane already down there building one. Jeez.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great.
Now, what happens if you move down? So technically, your last day at KSDK is today or
It's
tomorrow?
today. It's
Today.
today, yeah.
So that means, will your employment? We'll just for fun, we'll say your employment officially starts tomorrow at the new station. What's the station in Tennessee?
It is. It's also a Channel 5. So
Okay.
you know,
Okay, well,
so I can keep
good,
that. Yeah.
good.
It's so it's they call it News Channel 5, but the call letters are WTVF. It's the CBS affiliate in Nashville.
Okay, gotcha there. So if he does this, and then the Titans go on this miracle run.
Oh, my word.
Do you add a jewel to your, your little what is it? Thanos?
You're a gauntlet.
The gauntlet? Do you, with the Blues?
Yes.
Because that was strictly because of you.
Of course.
And then
yeah.
do you take credit for the Titans?
So I have been a Titans fan as long as they've been
Saw photos.
in Tennessee.
I
Yes.
saw photos.
Yes, so this would mean quite a bit. So I actually start officially. I have 2 weeks off in between, so I'll be actually starting the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday. So my rationale is if there's a parade to cover, then
That
I
would
could
be
there.
hilarious.
Yeah,
That's the first major aside. Another championship parade. That is outstanding.
and I'll make sure I see if I can call Brett Hull to see if he can come down there too, because it seems like something.
Gardner?
We went Titans. Why is Brett Hull in that?
No,
What is happening right
I get
now?
the feeling Brett would be one of those rockers that forgets what city he's
Yes.
in when they're touring.
I love that.
What
No.
are you yelling about the Jets for? We're not even in the playoffs.
How about the Memphis Titans?
Yeah. What?
Brett, no, put the seltzer down.
Now, will we see a photo like the famous Blues photo if Nashville wins a Super
You
Bowl?
Oh.
could. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
because there's never been a championship in the city of Nashville for professional sports. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be the equivalent of, I don't know, it'd be hard to match, people waiting on that anticipation of the Blues, but there have
Right.
been obviously Cardinal,
Right.
parades before. So this would be one of those first of
Yeah.
a kind
Now,
type
well,
Well,
What
let's
if
not
they
forget
once-
these are Southerners and it's football. It's like this would
Right.
be a
Yeah.
shit show in a
Yeah.
good way.
Yeah,
Well-
the world definitely centers around football down there.
What if
even
they
maybe more
won
so.
non-professional, I guess? Vanderbilt's won some baseball stuff.
Yeah,
I guess.
Vanderbilt did win a national championship in baseball.
Nashville
but-
probably co-opted Tennessee winning the football national title, right?
That
Are
was,
you talking
that was a
about
big
professional?
deal. That was a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's anchored more over in Knoxville, so
Yeah.
it's not like
Oh.
you have just like the all the excitement there. But
Right.
yeah,
I
that's
believe
gonna
it's
be part of
pronounced
it.
Knoxville.
Sorry, thank you.
That's how I like to
Appreciate
say it.
that.
Knoxville.
How would you compare this to, say, the Preds run a couple years ago in the Stanley Cup to the energy right now in the city in regards to Titans? Because the Titans were no one's favorites going into the playoffs,
No.
and they have pulled off two incredibly impressive. People are right now at the point of, if this team makes it to the Super Bowl, going down as one of the greatest runs of any team in NFL history in the playoffs.
Once again, and maybe some people in the newsroom have eye-rolled me at this point, but it reminds me of the Blues, like
Yes.
2-4.
Yes.
Under Marcus Mariota, they finally made the change to Tannehill, and they have been just dominant since then. And it's funny, every single time, you have the they can't beat the Patriots.
Right.
Beat the Patriots. Oh, well, they can't beat Baltimore. Beat Baltimore, and it's like going into Kansas
Right.
City, and they have a really successful record against Andy Reid. So I know this is more Chiefs Kingdom now. I know
Sure.
not quite.
Not
It's
as
it's
much.
always
Get
that
outta
kind of
here.
awkward.
There's
but
a separation.
I'm very tempted to try to go to that game on Sunday.
I think you
So,
should.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
It should be. And look, I've been to Arrowhead, and I've recommended to anyone, even if you're not a Chiefs fan, you may not even be a huge football fan, but that is a fun, entertaining
They do it big there,
experience. They
for
do
sure.
it big, and like to see the parking lot of. It's a sea of barbecue.
Yeah.
Literally. It's just a sea of people barbecuing. Every parking spot in Kansas City, someone's bar. So I think that atmosphere alone, you should definitely try to give it a go.
Go ahead, Gardner.
I wanted to ask this just because I brought it up when we had Brooke Grimsley on last week, who is from the same area as Chris, a classmates of Chris in college. But I grew up a Bills fan.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have a football team here. So where were you? Do you remember where you were 20 years ago when Frank Wycheck illegally threw a forward pass to Kevin Geisen
There
that
we
wasn't
go.
It's gonna
flagged?
happen. You knew it was
Thank you.
going to happen.
I do remember watching the game and that iconic call from Mike Keith and Titans radio.
There are no flags on the play.
There are no flags on
a
the
great
field.
call.
The Titans have pulled a miracle.
Still haunts me. Yeah, I know what it is.
Just in case, Yeah, no, it's been funny here, with that this is now obviously the 20th anniversary this year of that run, and so I've been hyping up the Music City Miracle, but then you have the classic St. Louis Rams fans that have to show the tackle, which I've always said to people, I've never even really heard it called the tackle because my perception has always been the framing of from the Tennessee side
of
of
course.
1 yard short,
Yeah.
just
Perspective is everything. with
It is. So that was, I distinctly remember the 1 yard short moment. Remember seeing my dad just aghast of that it came that close to making all the difference for the game.
Are you looking
But-
forward to fishing and hunting trips being a little easier to get to now?
Yeah, that will be, driving 8 hours round trip just
Yeah.
to get to the main base of operations to wherever we're going is, I think that'll be a nice thing too. Dad and I will be able to do stuff like that a lot
Nice.
more.
How do they treat the news personalities in Nashville? I know here in St. Louis, we have obviously people get pretty close, if you will, at least in their eyes, to their personalities that they see on TV. Is Nashville similar to when people see you on the news and you go to the grocery store like, hey, it's you from the TV? Will they do the same thing?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
I think, I haven't obviously been able to experience
Right.
that yet. I worked right out of college behind the scenes there, and it seems like it's the same way. It's
Okay.
you see these people every day. They tell you good, bad, and ugly, and you get to kind of connect to them. And I think it's going to mean a lot more to me, too, when I can go back to my hometown and report. And, and the same thing that I really have admired so much about St. Louis is there is such an ownership and pride of St. Louis. And I have genuinely bought into that, obviously, but it'll be just it'll mean so much more actually being from there and, and being able to plug into all that kind of stuff.
I like this idea that when you go back there, people are going to be like, what was it like doing the news with like a Band-Aid under your eye and a Cardinals hat on all the time? Like, I like that. Whereas I expect to see you like reporting live from Nashville in like a rhinestone suit and a cowboy hat. Like, I'm like, they're going to make you go real Nashville on that.
We got some catching up to do, Chris Davis. You got a lot of catching up to do.
We're talking like on a variety show, 1977 country singer.
Sure.
Like, that's what I want you dressed as for me.
I'm gonna have to go shopping. I don't have that in the closet.
Well, I would think the station would provide all their anchors and reporters with that. So, okay.
Are you gonna be general assignment reporters again?
I'll be general assignment. I actually like that because it just means it's something different every day.
Absolutely.
You know, you may do something serious one day. You may do something really kind of heartwarming the next. So
Right.
it gives you that blend. I think sometimes if you dig into one beat too much, then you can just kind of either get exhausted by it, burnt out by it, or or it becomes like. I don't know. You sometimes I have to remind myself on some of the like when sometimes you can get talking about state politics and forget that most people sitting there watching, unless it directly impacts them, unless they're really interested in it, they don't always follow the blow by blow.
Right.
So it's good to definitely diversify some because otherwise you kind of get into that.
Have you prepared yourself for covering stories where just based on your time in Nashville, growing up in the area, could maybe cross? Like you maybe end up covering a story like, oh, I went to school with that guy, or I know that person.
Yeah. And you see some journalists here in St. Louis that cross that bridge sometimes too. I think the good thing, and sometimes they're unexpected, obviously, but if you know a little bit going out, you have that conversation in our meetings and say, hey, I went to high school with that guy. Maybe you need to assign somebody else, But I think at the same time, obviously with even the news of the day, we all are human and have our opinions on it, and you kind of check that at the door, know. So you just kind of find ways to make sure that you're doing that in the most ethical way. But yeah, if it happened to do with somewhere like that my parents worked at, I would obviously recuse myself of that, or you just kind of are mindful of that. So and that's something I haven't had to experience yet before. So that'll be new for me. If you have to keep all of that in balance when you have that. Kind of going into it.
I'd like to ask, and I don't know if KSDK is, if they're giving you a gift or anything like that.
They didn't get him World's Fair Donuts.
That's true.
Well, but I have an idea for a gift for them to give to you. And it's really not something like a donut or, a watch or something tangible like that. It's if they could, and I've been pitching this idea, and I think you would accept this as a gift, Chris. If they could force Frank Cusimano to do his next Frank's Food Pigs at a cannabis dispensary in Collinsville, Illinois with some edibles.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Would on the way out, you could say, hey, have you seen this?
Listen, hey, it's legal. And,
yeah.
I would, that is must-see TV. So I can't tell Frank what, he picks his food picks and everything, but I'm on board with you. I'm on support.
That'd be great for sweeps. That'd be hilarious if they say, we're going to send Frank to Collinsville, and then he has to tour the hill.
I've been out to cover that a couple times.
I saw some of your stuff,
And that is just... I recommend anybody just taking a camp chair and
just
watching. Yeah. Especially the first day, and to that point,
And thank you for getting Green Wednesday.
Yes.
In one of your reports.
There you go.
If you had any perception of who you thought would be in line, go out there because it's everybody. It is not, it's not these your perception of a stoner or anything like that. It's grandma in a print dress out there trying to, figure out what, edibles are. I had the funniest situation, the opening day, which was just a madhouse. And this sweet elderly woman came up and she goes, "Is this where you get the marijuana?" And I'm like, I think so. Yeah, I think
I'm just here to report the facts, ma'am.
So it'd be funny if Chris just went, "Well, I know a guy around the corner. If you want to go out at him real quick."
That's really why he was over there. Boy, if Frank does that, they're going to have emergency crews on standby at the Gatesworth. There would be people just.
Well, that is true. If that might be a factor. If Mary Grace sees it.
Yes.
Now, are you worried? has any political officials in the Tennessee and Nashville area contacted you? Because everywhere you go, sir, political scandal follows.
Well, you start with those too. Don't you?
No, literally, like right off the bat in Alabama, Alabama's governor had a scandal, and so I don't know if anybody's alerted Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, but just
I cannot wait to.
Does that Alabama dude? Is that the dude who was riding around on his horse for no reason?
No, that was Roy Moore.
Okay, my mistake.
With Alabama, much like sometimes with Missouri politics, it's not just one.
It's not just one. It wasn't that guy that resigned. No, that's the one that went to prison. Right. The one that resigned was the governor. The other guy was the county executive.
They might have already had. Did Nashville's mayor have an issue?
Because she had relations
she was
with
banging her security
bodyguard, and on city time too.
Oh,
That's what gets you.
They're like, we don't care about the screwing. We care about the time theft.
Wait till after 5. Thank you.
Isn't that what? If you were her husband, you're like, I'm gonna kill the. Head of security's ex-Navy or something. It's the worst.
Write a letter. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to complain a whole lot.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. It's that political scandal, and there's.
It was funny, but when I posted the news, there's a friend of mine that actually works at the newspaper in Nashville, and was like, "Oh, well, here we go. It's coming to us."
The Davis effect. That's what we look for.
And so, I would like to think that I have some, and it's not like I've actually broken any of the stories that have led to that, but. I think that also has something to say about the state of politics we're in right now.
Very true. Like no matter where you plant a flag, there's a scandal somewhere underneath there.
Nothing. I think there's the operation in years ago before social media that you had some sort of privacy, and that just is
now it's gone.
Now it's gone, and I think. Rightfully so. People should have a higher expectation for their elected officials and not to be, and I think we've talked about this before, but with all of these scandals, whether you pick Alabama, Greitens, Nashville's mayor, it's never usually the salacious part gets the initial attention, but it's always something else that eventually takes them out of office, whether it's, computer tampering with Greitens and the donor list and all that stuff. You could go into a rabbit hole there, but I think that's the ultimate takeaway is it's usually something that they shouldn't have been involved in initially, and then something that they really should have been doing that eventually gets them out of office.
Right.
What we need to remind everybody, this is no laughing matter that Chris Davis is leaving us and moving on to another city, but what is Sophie's tonight, happiest hour, St. Louis, 6 p.m. Come on out. That's right. We've got a killer lineup. Tina D-Ball's headlining it. She was just up on stage for 6 sold-out shows with Dave Attell. Nice. And now you can come see her for free. She's there. Our friend JC Sabala, Justin Luke, and Jamie Fritz, who also is a headliner at clubs. It's going to be a good time. Jack Daniels presents it. You know where they hail from, Travis?
They hail from Tennessee.
That's right. Davis is like,
multiple Tennessee.
That's right.
Have you been to the distillery down there?
See, I got to call my guy with the distributor. I need to make that happen. We need to get Travis swimming in a barrel of whiskey.
It's neat. And the irony is it's a dry county where it's
located.
It
is, yeah.
So you can the only way to consume, you can take their tasting tour and they tell you, I guess it's a legal loophole that if you get less than an ounce, it's not considered. I don't know. They've been able to maneuver a little bit, but you can buy it, but can't necessarily consume it.
My favorite part about southern dry counties is that you realize that it was masked in this morality thing, and it's all just a racket for whoever has control of the distribution. Really, it's I think it's in Murray, Kentucky. They're still like that, or there's still several areas in the South where it's no. They're just controlling you so they can sell more here or control how you.
Owning a liquor license a lot of times in those, or whatever makes the money. Usually you can trace it back to somebody's making a killing.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Is there a story here in St. Louis that you cover that's going to stand out the most to you? And if it's personal, you don't have to go too deep into it, but I'm curious. You've covered a lot of things over your time here. Was there a story that stands out?
I think my absolute favorite was the night that Laila Anderson got to meet her Be the Match donor. And because you see a lot of those stories and, companies meaning well come in and try to make it this, sentimental moment, and it comes across as staged, and that was not what they did. and they may even like did a lot of the production value, but the moment that they embraced was just such a genuine moment. And Laila has, I was talking to her dad Scott, who I've gotten to know quite well over the kind of the blues run, and he was talking about how she has kind of reached at 11 years old this like cult personality,
Sure.
and celebrity status, and he was talking about the good and bad of that, and like, he said that one time they were in Target and like she was just kind of having, a day that we all,
being
had.
11.
Being 11.
I was about to say, and I guess somebody either tweeted or something like saying, "Oh, Laila wasn't friendly to me" or whatever. It's like, she's 11,
right.
and it's not like this is something that she absolutely chose, but chose to embrace and has used her, her journey to help so many people. They raised so much money at that event for Be the Match and to help other kids like her. So I think I think Laila's whole saga would probably fall into that category because she is just such a remarkable kid. She'd be a great guest for you guys to bring in at some point too. She's because and we always made kind of the running joke that if she ever decided to get into sports journalism, Frank was going to have to go,
out of his job.
Yeah, go back to Keemels. But yeah, I mean, she's that was such a fun story. I think just the blues run itself was just such a
That's tough to top. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and just seeing how much it meant to so many people that have been waiting their entire lives, or everybody had I felt like anybody you could talk to had this just remarkable story. I remember the first day of play in this new season, talking to a guy that was there. They had that little watch party out in front of Enterprise for people that couldn't come in to see raising the banner, and it's just grown man, probably in his 60s, just bawling. And I was like, hey, this is, the celebration of raising the banner. He goes, well, I had to work, through Game 7, and, I couldn't get off for the parade, so this is my moment to really kind of celebrate this moment. I don't know. It's just when you have those uniting moments in sports is just really fun. So
Absolutely.
It certainly is. If you guys are just jumping in, our friend Chris Davis at KSDK has accepted a job in his home state of Tennessee, and he's thrown a middle finger up and said, see ya, St. Louis.
I'm out for the big time. I'm out.
What restaurant are you going to miss?
Ooh, that's a good. There's so many. This city does such a great job.
What will you crave while you're in Nashville?
Ooh,
Gardner's a man of many cravings. So
there are just lots. I love Joya's. I love Blue City Deli over in Benton Park.
Sandwiches, good.
I love breadsticks from Keemels that Frank brings in. There's just this city does a really, really good job of having those mom and pop, restaurants. Right. So it'd be tough to pick just one. I've kind of made a list of like the places I want to hit before I leave.
Dessert? Are you gonna miss dessert wise?
Oh,
not everybody has dessert after every meal.
Ted Drew's, obviously. That's that's obviously the classic. And any place that has gooey butter cake, I've definitely jumped on the train there. So
look at you!
What a ham!
No,
he knows
frozen custard and gooey butter cake.
I didn't mention T-Rabs, don't I?
Not yet.
I didn't go. But now that I bring it up, no. No, but
of course, the Hill.
Do you like cheesecake? Have you had Hank's cheesecake?
I have not.
All right, Gardner, this is getting weird.
It's like Big Bend and Clayton, right?
Okay.
Richmond Heights.
It's like two middle school kids being like, who would you do? Gardner's getting that level of like...
I feel like I just turned into Cusimano.
You did.
I'm doing the no hedging. No hedging. What's your restaurant? Go-to restaurant. No, Frank would be, though. All right, you've committed a terrible crime, and you're going to the electric chair. What's your final meal going to be?
Like, whoa, this is a lot.
That is like a quintessential like
that is
hit
Frank
and run.
yeah.
Well, Frank, what did I do? Number one.
It's like these are supposed to be fast, and like the exposition is.
So
maybe a terrible person. Number one.
In the spirit of putting people on the spot, what could, and you've covered serious stuff. What could St. Louis as a community improve on, from an outsider's point of view?
I was actually saying this to somebody the other day. I think, and this always is, a touchy subject, but some way to like improve some of the regional relations, because you just see such a fracturing, especially with St. Louis County and the 90 plus municipalities. Like there needs to be. I know everybody gets a little, And you have to do it the right way, so we'll qualify it that way. Right. But I think doing something that that can kind of bring, I think people do a lot of comparisons to Nashville to St. Louis, rightfully so, because they're about the same size. And I think where Nashville has exceeded is because, and succeeded is the state of Tennessee and that all the surrounding counties, they kind of work as a team and don't compete for different businesses. And sometimes you hear that happen.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, and they get into bidding wars against themselves, and I don't know. So I think that's definitely something. And then obviously, crime is a huge thing.
One could help the other. You could say.
Sure.
You could
I think there's definitely a
say that.
connection there. I think it's going to take a lot of effort, and I covered some of that yesterday. I went to the Governor Parsons' State of the State, and there's this kind of unique. Like he's trying to push forward that he's working with the mayors on certain elements, but then House Democrats will come back and tell you, oh well, he's picking the parts that he can work with. I don't know. It's obviously there's lots of elements to it, but I think taking a real at every level, people really getting serious about how you can cut down on crime, I think is going to be what it takes to really make a dent in that kind of stuff.
What's some of the best advice maybe you received while you're in St. Louis for some of the maybe news veterans you've had an opportunity to work in the newsroom with?
I had a long conversation with Ann Allred last night because she's off for vacation for her birthday starting today for a couple of days. So it was my last night with her, and she talked about. She goes, I think this will be a really good move because I think striking that work-life balance is so important, and
it's
you can
huge.
with anybody you get plugged into something, you get excited about something, but actually remembering to have to have a life outside. And I don't think that's necessarily a huge problem. It's just something I think it'll be so nice to be able to at least. I don't know. I think it gets tricky when you get farther from home. You have to use all your vacation days just to go see family. And so that'll be really nice. And then I got a lot of friends that I haven't been able to really spend a whole lot of time with since I graduated college that I'm looking forward to reconnect with too.
Awesome.
So
that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Who will you get the bachelor party beat or the bachelorette party beat? while you're
that is a cover. I would think it's a cover. No, I mean that when we officially surpassed Las Vegas is like the bachelorette capital. The last time I was out on Lower Broad in Nashville, I counted 40 different bachelorette parties that were out jumping around. I was like, did we ask for this? Did we lobby for this? I don't. Can we take it back?
If that ends up being a job, Travis, we're sending you to Nashville. Bachelorette party correspondent, Travis Terrell.
Yeah. Trav, your producers. You got penis gummy in your beard.
That's just part of the job.
Cost of doing business.
I'm down at Lou's Bachelorette Emporium. There's a penis straw shortage down here, and they are going mad.
Oh, that's
they
perfect.
did. I think and I don't know if it's open yet, but there was last I heard a few years ago they were designing a bachelorette style hotel in downtown.
Oh, that just sounds
perfect.
Oh, I would feel
Perfect.
all the people who would work there. I would feel so.
Better get a good rate for working there.
Yeah.
I hope they
Don't
give them
install
earplugs.
carpet.
Lots
Oh
of
man.
Imagine that lobby at 2 a.m. Saturday morning.
I upgraded my room. I have no Coke mirrors. There are no mirrors to do Coke on,
concierge
and we're here to
desk.
party.
There's not enough money in the world for the concierge desk.
And the custodian having to clean up. Like I said, as long as that hotel does not have carpet, you may be all right.
The sign behind the concierge says, "Ma'am, I am the manager."
Oh God, that sounds like a great, awful idea, and I want to see it.
It sounds like a great, awful idea that also translates to a reality show.
Yeah.
How does MTV
all
not
the
get into
lobby
that?
TVs have Friends on repeat.
That's simple television programming right there.
I hope they're taking notes. I hope they're watching.
Yeah.
It's
Conference
all good
room
stuff,
completely
yeah.
dedicated to that final heart to heart before she gets married.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I've always loved you.
The friend who hasn't been there for her in 8 years or lived with her, barely done anything, sitting there telling her I don't know if he deserves you.
You haven't even met him. You weren't even invited to the bachelorette party.
I don't know
why
you're here. Look, if Vanderpump Rules works, we can make this work.
Oh, no doubt about it.
I think so.
You're welcome, Chris.
Yeah.
Is there something you can take down there?
Sure,
with you if you want?
absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah.
A good feature story on how miserable a manager is.
Why did you get a budget for random assignment reporters from St. Louis to come down and cover bachelorette parties as a feature, Chris? That's news today, baby.
Okay, non-food. I'll ask a non-food question. What's a non-food place you're gonna miss here? Like, is there a place? I won't even say. You can include a coffee shop or something like that, or a bar or something like that.
Like, which Planned Parenthood did you frequent the most?
Yeah. Or which overpass for weather coverage are you
They
gonna
do
miss
things
here?
besides
Tam.
Tam,
Tam is solid.
Yeah. You know?
Tam is solid.
In fact, the last snow that we had like a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
to make the point, I was like, let's go anywhere but Tam. Let's just, we'll go one past, one back. I think there's one just a little bit closer to that. You can still get the St. Louis wheel, you know, in the shot, which that is cool.
Oh, so maybe that's changing the power rankings of overpasses here.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
The official overpass
Tam
shot
is the city one. I believe it's in the county. J.J. Kelly.
J.J. Kelly,
Yeah,
yep.
J.J. Kelly one is the one you want.
That's a big one. That's I never actually had to do J.J. Kelly.
Really?
So that's
That's
that
hilarious.
forever on the ungrasped on the St. Louis bucket list.
Damn, man.
What's one thing? Yeah, you're going to be sitting in your chair when you're older. If only I could have done that snowstorm. J.J. Kelly overpass.
That's great.
Will that
But
be
it's funny.
nice?
There in Nashville. There is kind of the quintessential overpass there too. It's the Fern Avenue,
Ooh,
overpass.
I'll
So
be
it's,
sure to visit that when I go down.
Yeah, there we
I
go.
know.
Yeah, it needs a little historical marker. Like I think that's what Tam and J.J.
They need
Kelly need
plaques
too. Yeah,
to mark
little
what they are.
plaques and
Yeah.
like little live truck hook-ins.
Yeah. Is there a park or a bar or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think, and I know you're going to accuse me of being a St. Louis sensation, but Forest Park really is so remarkable and
Gardner loves
gorgeous.
some
Like,
Gardner's
Forest
just
Park.
making this all about him. Like, what pack of cigarettes and park bench do you appreciate the most?
It's the crown
But
jewel
it's-
of St. Louis.
but it's just the fact that there's just that big of
It
a
is
park in the
crazy.
middle of
It
the
is
city,
really nice.
and the stuff that's in it too. I mean the art museum really is absolutely gorgeous, and the exhibit in the history museum right now of all the Pulitzer.
Yeah, Gardner
Those
and
are
I
so
took a visit.
good.
We enjoyed
It's
the hell out of
amazing.
that. That was
Stunning.
good.
It's it's heavy too, so just
Yeah,
know what you're getting into.
we definitely we talked about that. We were like, yeah, that exhibit sits with you after you leave.
I
Yeah,
left in a
really
weird
just
mood
sits with you.
because it was like even I said before, the celebration photos.
Yeah.
Even there's a backstory to them that
Yeah.
art is
Yeah.
celebratory, and you're like, my God, what have I done? Like I just walked out of there like,
Yeah, Gardner was
I'm, like,
ahead of me.
walking.
He was ahead of me like 10 feet, and he basically yells back, "Be warned, it gets heavy." And I'm just like, what?
well, and
I
I let him go by himself for a bit because I didn't want to be around.
Yeah.
Like this is something I think that if you're by yourself, it's okay to take in and reflect on.
Yeah.
Sure.
But no,
sure.
the stuff in Forest Park is I call it the
But
crown jewel.
Can you
It's-
do just one thing though when you go to Nashville?
Yeah.
Do not tell them about the loop trolley. That's between
That's our-
us.
that's our-
That's
our
what
private-
happens in St. Louis stays in
Yeah.
St. Louis. You don't tell anybody about the trolley in Nashville,
Thank you.
or they're gonna think children who eat crayons run this city.
Yeah.
So don't tell them about the loop trolley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Between us, Chris. You
Don't think we won't roll up
Secret
down
safe
if
with
we
me.
hear you
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
It's gonna get weird.
I mean, make sure you reference it properly, Travis.
Oh,
when you
my-
refer
my
to the loop
apologies.
trolley.
Oh, t-shirts
We are
available
selling-
at Buy Jack.
we
Sell
are-
T-shirts.
A streetcar name undesired, Chris. That's what we're.
I love it.
Once again, you
I
can
love it.
get those
And
T-shirts.
it may not be, you may have more reasons to sell because, they may bring it back. It may be resurrected.
Well, then just
You know,
get your
buy steak.
T-shirts right here.
Had that ready.
Perfect. Oh man,
Wait,
we're
you-
laughing so
For
hard.
6 months, you covered a story about a trolley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They see that on your reel. They're
Yeah.
like, you have a lot of trolley stories. Why?
I will say that one of my favorite takes on that was we did a whole story perspective piece on what all has changed in St. Louis when the trolley had not moved an inch, like when they're still
amazing.
building it.
Yeah.
So like.
outstanding.
At the rate they were going, there was a chance that the LA Stadium for Kroenke could have opened up before.
Ooh, that would've hurt.
They finally got. That the stadium then saw some delays, so that did not come in. But we just went into like how every Radio Shack location closed in the same time that the loop trolley
Did
was
you-
still under construction. So
Did you have more fun putting that storyline together regarding the loop trolley, or fitting all the pot puns into your?
Ooh, that's tough. That's like picking between favorite children
Yeah.
or something like that. That's No,
I like
that's really.
the pot puns one. I liked when you introduced introduced one of the sound bites with. Others were more blunt.
Yeah,
That was my favorite one.
I'm glad you found some humor in it. I don't know if anybody else notices or cares, but entertains me. Sometimes
That's the
all.
key, really, with anything.
I'm not saying it, but it's, when we have tough days, it's fun to have the ones where you can have a little fun with. And it's, and it was, you never know with that kind of stuff. And it's like, I didn't know if some people that were out in line that might watch it and and I had like a bunch of messages from people like, hey, saw you out there. Love the story. I was like, oh, okay, well, then we're good.
Yeah.
So
I do have a shirt for you, too. I was supposed to give you a while ago.
Oh, no.
And I know you probably were only going to be able to wear it like around the house, especially because it's a little political.
Okay.
But it's a Chesterfield County shirt.
There it is.
From
Didn't
when,
Rennie get one?
It is.
Yeah, Rennie's got
Rennie
one.
got one.
I'm really glad that I can put that in the drawer. That's and I could wear it in Nashville and no one would know what it means.
Ooh.
And maybe not everybody around here would know what it means too.
Yeah,
but
it's
I like
a little
it.
esoteric.
But I like it. I like it a lot. That was of the different sagas. That one was interesting. I remember when that email came out of like, oh, so they may just do their own thing. Okay, that's cool.
There's a lot of that around here.
We'll do it ourselves.
And then I got into it with one of the councilmen on Twitter briefly because I called Chesterfield the outlet store capital of St. Louis County, and I guess they didn't like that.
Oh, boy.
And then, hell, you don't have to come shop here. Of course, I said, well,
That
what's it going to
happens.
do when you're hoarding all the Brooks Brothers stores? What am I supposed to do? Put one in the city then. You got two outlets, and both have Brooks Brothers stores out there.
I like
But
that.
hey, we're St. Louis is getting a second Top Golf, so you can take
I
that
know,
from
yeah.
Chester.
Is that
Yeah.
actually happening?
Yeah, they announced
doing it on
Topgolf
Shoto?
confirmed it. I think that's right. Yeah, it's over by SLU. Yeah.
That's outstanding.
That's
And
gonna be
St. Louis
wild,
will
man.
actually be the smallest city to get a second location. Like the other
Which-
ones are like Dallas and Chicago
Wait,
and stuff like that.
We're going to have a
so.
Topgolf and an IKEA.
Look at that.
Are they going to? You weren't here for the IKEA.
Take that,
No.
Nashville. You ain't got nothing on that, son.
And Nashville doesn't have an IKEA, so you can't hold it over that. Yeah.
Take that,
IKEA opening.
Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
It made me realize why we're a city that's a small town.
Yeah.
When the IKEA opened, and everyone was culpable.
And the
Radio
media.
news,
Yeah.
television news. There were traffic copters flying over my apartment at 5 in the morning. I'm like, I thought something had happened. I got up and smoked and took a cigarette, and I'm like, it's the IKEA opening. And
Well,
it was unbelievable.
I remember I think I was still in Nashville when they made the big announcement. They said they were going to either do an IKEA in Nashville or Memphis, and Memphis got it, and there was outrage in the streets. Like, no, what do you mean we don't get the IKEA? Like it was
'Cause there was
the
such a big-
humanity.
Such a big deal made about it that I always thought that, like, especially in sports, you go
Yeah.
to the bar for live reaction, that you should. I was just going to start going to IKEA for
Sure.
the
Get
man on the
Swedish
street
meatballs,
reaction.
and get the hot take. I've only been in an IKEA once, and it like is overwhelming. Like
I know
it's-
someone who works there who got lost in the store on their way to their job interview.
That's
I
amazing.
totally believe
And that
that.
is not the first time it's happened there, apparently. And I had theorized that it was actually a test.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that if
It
you
separates
actually,
the weak from the strong.
and
yeah.
if you actually made it, you were automatically hired.
After your 3 days journey,
Yeah.
we've decided to hire you here at IKEA.
Here's $12 an hour.
So I have a little collage here,
Oh boy.
just of some of the pictures I found.
Are these Pulitzer
very
winning
close.
photos? Yeah.
We started with Greitens. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you. Let's do Frank Cusimano now. You ready for this?
Right.
One word to describe these stories. Okay. Let's start with story of the year. Greitens.
Ooh.
Ooh is his word.
Yeah,
Nice.
that actually,
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Not
be perfect
intentional,
way,
but
yeah,
that,
like,
that actually works
ooh.
really
I
well.
think that's the reaction we all have. You're like, ooh.
Okay.
Yes, that would have been the reaction I had.
As I called it, sting operation. Steve Stinger going to prison.
That you could also maybe use the same.
This is
Ooh. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I guess just when you heard more and more about it, it might fall under the really like
Yeah.
it's,
There you go.
like
There you
it's,
go.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Come on.
you of some of the antics within his office of like a
Yes.
whole big liquor cabinet and video game systems and
Yeah.
stuff. What were you?
Okay, I
what
gotta
were
take
you
that down. Yeah, that's the one thing I'm still upset about. If anyone could score an interview and find out what games he was playing, I'd like to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's the one question I have left.
What if he like cut live to him in prison and he just like Madden? Like, would you be
like, oh, are we
surprised? Yeah.
No, I'd like to know.
The question that I will want to see play out is, will either one of them try to do a political comeback? And could that even happen? I don't think it could happen here, maybe, but if either one of them resurfaces
those Greitens
somewhere.
whispers are still there.
He was spotted at like a Veterans Day event in Virginia this year, like and kind of out in public. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if either one of them try to mount a comeback or what their backup jobs become.
I think I can definitely see a return for Greitens. There's something about
Now,
Greitens that lets me know that he's
the
coming
Blue
back.
Stanley Cup.
I think you had to channel your Brett Hall. Especially that picture too.
Yeah.
Which I told you I ended up finding that guy again at the parade.
Yes.
And then he added me on Facebook.
That's amazing.
That's outstanding.
Normal guy though, right?
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Okay. I thought we'd get it. Yeah, he'll be at my
Blues
yeah.
fan, man. He's a Blueser.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Very passionate. Very passionate.
Oh God.
The Loop Trolley.
Passionate. Yeah.
I think a lot of these are falling in the same category, but it's
Okay. The weather in St. Louis, because you did a lot of weather coverage.
random. Like it just,
Random?
it's whatever, every day is a little bit different, quite literally. Like, we'll
May
have snow and ice potentially tomorrow.
Bipolar.
And there's one that's not like job related, but I think it goes to Chris coming to town.
It does.
And Chris involving himself in the community. And I
does.
think it also allows us a moment to promote a good organization as well. But the picture in the bottom corner there, if you could.
Yeah,
Who is that?
That is Nicholas Washington. He is my little brother with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
That's
And I will
awesome.
say,
That's awesome.
yeah. Leave that that is the hardest
Yeah.
part
Yeah, of
of
course.
leaving. We have fit a lot of different last kind of outings.
So you guys were at the aquarium recently?
Yeah, we went to the aquarium over the weekend, which is pretty
awesome.
cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He is an incredible kid. Actually, that picture from that story was, and that was, I guess, about a year ago, either this or next month. His dad at the time had a pretty chronic lung condition, and his for that story, Nick actually saved his dad's life. He was going into like a situation where he was losing consciousness and wasn't getting, and he was able to call 911, and they were able to get him to the hospital. So the station let me do a story on him for being able to,
That's awesome.
knowing what to do, because a lot of kids at that age, wouldn't necessarily know. His father has passed since, but
so sorry to hear that.
But he's an incredible kid. He will continue to. I told him, when I had to tell him that I was leaving, that we'll stay connected, stay texting, stay calling, and I do, a vested interest in coming back and visiting St. Louis would be to come and continue to be a part of his life. He's a really great kid.
Well, that's I think that's also a testament to Chris as you as a person. We've enjoyed having you on here, but like it means a lot to us, especially coming from this area, for people who don't just come in, fly in, just do their own thing.
Yes.
You embedded yourself in the community, and I think that means a lot. We really appreciate that.
Sure. No, I always tell, the what kind of sold doing Big Brothers Big Sisters for me was, we were sitting in the newsroom at an editorial meeting, and they said that there are 800 boys on the waiting list in St. Louis to get matched up. Because initially I was like, well, I don't know how long I'll be here. I don't know how much time I have. And I just got thinking about it. It's like they really, the base minimum is 4 hours a month. We all have 4 hours a month, and when there's that many people waiting, you might as well at least give as much time as you can.
Yeah.
And everybody said this to me going in, and I kind of took it with, along the roll, but it really is true. You get so much out of it yourself as you hope that they get out of it too. And so I also just felt, like when we do stories like that, I don't want it to be a, do as I say, not as I do. Like if we're saying you should sign up, then you should sign up too.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody and everybody
awesome.
to think about that, because, we all have 4 hours you can spare, and it really is. It's been one of my favorite things to do.
That's
here,
awesome.
So.
That's really cool.
Way to shut it down. Some quick notes before we get out of here. Do come to Gastro Pit tonight. We've got the late comedy show, 8:30 kickoff on the Hill. late night barbecue that Gardner has guzzled down on a many occasion. It's so good. So we got the 2 comedy shows tonight, and big thanks to St. Louis Counseling Services for backing our show. Check out their podcast, Mental Health Matters, which records here. Also, we've got another new podcast. It's The Dietitian Against Diets. Rashonda Thornton, she's on TV throughout town all the time. It's a great listen and a lot of very interesting guests. And big thanks to Gateway Powder Coating. They support us. They've supported us for years. Check them out, gatewaypowdercoat.com. They're the #1 powder coating resource in the Midwest. Maybe before Chris takes off, he needs some wheels touched up, and he'll run out to Gateway Powder Coating in O'Fallon. Chris Davis, KSDK, formerly soon KSDK?
They still have me for the rest of the day. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Still currently of that. Travis, any final words from Mr.
Thank
Davis?
you so much. No, we really appreciate you hanging out with us when you have the time.
What a blast.
It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure
Thank you for having me on. This has always been a highlight.